Hey there, welcome to Dream Big Solutions. This is our lovely podcast. I'm glad you stumbled onto us. And on our show today, we have a lovely guest. Her name is Dixie Bennett, and she'll be joining us shortly. What we're going to be talking about today is how people deal with pain and their business. And really, it's one of those elements of, if you're in business and you want to really be at your peak potential and doing really what is your gift and out there sharing it and connecting to people, you really need to be able to focus, right? And if you are in pain, if you're suffering from chronic pain, it becomes extremely difficult, especially if you're in a really high performance position where someone is, demanding your time and effort 100% of the time that you're actually, in your workplace. It is extremely difficult to deal with that sort of chronic pain at the same time as really trying to focus on what I need to get done. And so our lovely guest today, Dixie, will be talking about that and talking about how she helps both healers and key entrepreneurs and leaders to actually overcome that pain and really be able to regain their focus and move their business forward. So without further ado, let me do Dixie's little intro here. Let's see. So Dixie Bennett is the CEO and founder of Stillpoint Bodyworks out of Calgary, Alberta. She is the masterful healer for healers and leaders. She's passionate about helping healers and leaders who need to be pain-free and at the top of their game so they can share their life's work feeling energized, healthy, and inspired. Her unique gift really is blending that body work and coaching together so that, totally lost my train of thought. Healing, bringing those, both the body work and coaching together. And that can, of course, be done both over long distance or in-person today. So, so without further ado, I'd like to introduce Dixie Bennett.
Thank you, Richard. Thanks for having me.
So I'd like to ask you, so how did you actually get involved? Tell us a little bit about your history and what brought you to, working in this field. And especially that sort of the combining of the body work and the coaching. That's something that not a lot of people do, or that I've never really been, privy to actually see someone that has gone beyond, here, let me fix your pain, but actually coaching in a business sense as well.
Mm-hmm. Well, I just kind of fell into that aspect of the business piece only through the evolution of networking and being out there promoting my business. I started attracting business owners because that's naturally who I was networking with. And it's been a natural progression. So my background is actually in sales and marketing. I worked in corporate oil and gas and sales and marketing in retail and various other things pretty much my whole life. So I've always had a passion for that. And I've always had a passion for small business. I love the small business. I love the entrepreneurs. I love that, people who are chasing their passion and making a difference in the world. And being a part of that is really powerful. So, but the difference is when I was in corporate, between the ages of 19 and 26, I had experienced 3 near-death experiences. And the third one was more of a health challenge that really took me out of the game. And I had blood clots in my legs and lungs. And what I discovered and what I learned about blood clots in the legs and lungs is, if you look at it, it's the lifelines, right? It's your lifeline to breath, to breathing in that air, and also blood. We can't function with one or the other. We need both to actually live and prosper. And in my experience, I really didn't feel that I was on purpose in my life, and I had no idea what I was going after or where I would, the direction I was in. I mean, I worked in corporate. I had a really successful career. I got to do a lot of really cool things that a lot of people could only dream of. But no matter the promotion or what I was doing, it was fine for a little while, but then it wore off. And it just wasn't self-fulfilling after a while. It was great to have the money, but you're working hard, and for what, really? And it wasn't in alignment with what I was supposed to be doing. So through the healing process, I actually ended up going more into the alternative route, because I had, for a long time, many years, I had suffered from chronic pain and was in the body of an 80-year-old, an unhealthy 80-year-old, let's say. And all my tests came back normal, but yet I wasn't functioning. And so I discovered that, it really was about emotional pain. It was about emotional trauma that had been trapped in my tissue for many years and came to a head, essentially.
Yeah.
And so I actually went through a process of doing body work. So I was a client of bone therapy, craniosacral therapy, and Reiki. And I had life coaching as well. And that's when I just discovered that this was my bigger purpose. Yeah. And it came out in a conversation that I wanted to have a healing center. And then I thought, well, how the heck am I going to have that? What does that mean? What does that look like? And so I went through the coaching process to figure out really what my passion was, and started putting steps in motion to create that and bridge the gap. So off I went, and I kind of had a 5-year plan of phasing myself out of corporate, if you will. And well, I think by the time I launched my business, I think it was about 8 months, and I was full-time into my business. And the universe just said, stop, what are you waiting for? Get out there, we need you. And I said, okay. So it was really quite synchronistic. The company I was working for did some layoffs, and I got a package, and I pretty much walked out and walked right into my business full time, and I never looked back since. Yeah. And so here I am. Great.
No, that's very cool. So tell me the significance really of pain in the body, and what that, both what that does and what it means, right? Why is pain such an important guide for you to actually being able to help business owners specifically?
Well, specifically business owners, I've found, really the number one pain is lack of purpose. And it doesn't matter if we're in a business, it doesn't matter if we're not in a business or where we are in our life. It's oftentimes distraction. We don't know where we're supposed to go, what we're supposed to do. The challenges of money come up, the challenges of, just incomplete in relationships, not feeling completely fulfilled. And oftentimes it's about, unresolved issues, unresolved things that are going on in our life that are directly linked and show up often in our body. Mm-hmm. Usually people who come to see me have severe chronic pain. It's been a lifetime of challenges. They may have manifested severe types of disease, right? But they've been on the path of seeking, they're looking for something more. Yeah. And what the gift is that I've discovered in myself is integration. So it's about integrating both the body, mind, and spirit. And when we can remove some of those layers of pain, even with the pain, oftentimes I find people they live in their head. So they're running around, but they're not attached to their bodies. They think they're linear minded, meaning, things have to be logical. But at the same time, I take a pill, or I stretch, or I go to the gym, I work out, everything should be fine, and yet everything's not fine. So it's just looking a little bit deeper in and seeing what's going on. kind of underneath the sheets, if you will.
Oh my, yeah.
Oh, sometimes it can be a little scary.
Yeah.
We don't really want to look there.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, and I would imagine there's a fair amount of resistance from some people to really, delve into things that are, as you say, under the sheets kind of thing, and say, well, I don't really talk about this to anyone, so.
Yeah, and that's what I find, and that's really the truth of the core of getting to the root. What's going on? Why is this happening? When was the first time? How long have you been carrying it for?
Yeah.
And then the other part of it is the coaching, that we need to look at the mindset, right? It's about belief systems that we've carried for a long time.
Yeah, and that's definitely, one of the big pieces is, being able to, access and connect to the people and stuff, build those relationships so that you can actually, say to each other, well, I'm willing to open up now because we've made that connection and, known each other over time. In your practice, what would you say is your number one thing that you see stopping small businesses and entrepreneurs from being successful?
I think, well, the number one thing, it often really comes down to the purpose. So purpose of, is their business in alignment with who they are, right? And being a small business owner, our business really is an extension of who we are. So it's a perfect reflection of what's going on. If there's money issues, money problems, there's often belief systems that's held in the tissue. Abundance, understanding the energy of money is a huge thing. I think, abundance and money and prosperity are huge topics right now, and people are chasing after that. But a lot of people think it's about money. So it's an attachment to, I need more money, I need more money. But if you need more money and you're not living your purpose, then, you're not feeling fulfilled. There's a lack.
Yeah. And you were talking about the connection between people's story and their pain. And I'd like to sort of talk about that a little bit, and also how you sort of discovered that for yourself.
Well, I think the story, it's a story that we tell ourselves. We're not good enough. We're not worthy. We're chasing after a perceived dream, but is it really our dream? And even just most people don't even realize that we can ask. We can ask, and we get to create what it is that we want. We don't have to just sit and wait for what the world is going to hand out to us. And that's a big difference. Is even as a business owner, I see so many business owners going out there. They have this great business. It's, it's starting to flourish, but at the same time, they're stuck. Or they have a new business idea and nothing's happening. They've been at it for a year and they don't have any clients, or they're trying everything and they're going after the wrong thing. But it's starting with you, right? When you know what you are, when you have a really clear understanding of your purpose and your why are you doing the things that you're doing? Who's it for? Is it for you? Is it for others? How are you connecting to them? Everything just starts to flourish. And especially a lot of the women that I tend to mostly work with women, but most of the women come in and they don't realize their strengths. They don't realize the power that they actually have to create a better relationship, to create a better relationship with themselves, as well as a relationship with their husbands, their children. A lot of people think, well, it's just hereditary. This is the way it is in our family. Yep. We have these types of illnesses. We have people who operate out of stress or out of depression or out of deep, deep fears. And the truth is you can break the cycles, and the cycle stops with you. So if you can start telling yourself a new story and healing that part of yourself, and I call them fragments. If we can heal the fragments of our shattered selves over a lifetime, we can come back into wholeness. And when we come back into wholeness, we can come into full alignment. And then when you're living in alignment, you can take aligned action that can actually start reaping some rewards and start manifesting in many powerful ways.
So if I was someone who is experiencing pain or personal, emotional pain, what would be sort of one of the first steps that, I would take in order to, get rid of that and, ditch the pain, release the pain?
Well, I think you have to have a mindset. You have a mindset of transformation, that I am willing and ready to make some changes, right? And that's the truth about pain. The pain is, we're on the cycle that's constantly going, and we've tried different things looking for the off button, but in fact, it's been hidden, right? Or broken.
Mhm.
And therefore we're still on that path. But it's all in the mind. If you decide that you're ready for change and you're ready to do the aligned steps to make that change, and remove yourself from who you were, right, you're going to find yourself as a better person overall.
Right. So can you give me an example of sort of the process that you go through when you're working with a client, or even, something that comes to mind specifically of, like an actual, tangible story of someone's transformation?
I'd love to. I have lots of amazing stories. One of them in particular, well, I guess kind of the process is, oftentimes people come to me first for body work sometimes, or they come right in for coaching. And then I introduce the body work as a secondary piece, because I believe you still need to have that integration. We need to still look after the mind and the physical. And most people are referred into me for physical body work. And then as we develop that rapport, that relationship, I kind of have an understanding of what's going on in their body and their pain to date. So I take a health history review and talk about some of their goals. So what is it that you want to do? Do you want to change? Do you want to transform? Are you looking for absolute relief? And then I might introduce more of a process of, might go through some meditation skills, might go through just understanding why and what the pain is, how to feel into the pain. That's the thing, is we don't want to suppress it. We want to actually nurture it. We want to look at it. We want to be with it. We want to understand it. And when we feel into it, then we can actually transform it.
Right.
And then and if the coaching piece is on alignment with that, then we'll bring the coaching piece in. And that's also some of the deeper transformative, because it's again holding you accountable on a weekly ways. Oh, what did you say? We have these moments of clarity, and then we both forget sometimes. It's like, but at the same time, when you're doing that one-to-one weekly accountability, both in conversation and then integrating the body work, it's longer standing. So one of my clients in particular, she actually came to me for body work. She was referred in, and we discovered it was a lot deeper than just having body work. And so she came through another 8-week program that I had offered at the time. And at the end of that, she's like, oh my God, that was amazing. I want more. And so she came into the one-on-one coaching program, still continuing to do the body work because she came in specifically with some pretty severe nerve pain. The powerful piece is, as we've worked through the healing process, she no longer has nerve pain. It's completely disappeared. And, it can be baffling even to surgeons. Sometimes I have several cases of clients who've overcome that and have been able to heal their nerve pain. And the surgeons have been surprised. Neurosurgeons just wondering, wow, like what happened? What changed? Yeah. But the truth is, when I look at the neural pathways, if they're not communicating, where else are you not communicating in your life? Right? And when there's a lot of head and neural pain, it's dissecting that even further, looking at what's going on, who not being able to connect to yourself, but also who you're not connecting to in your life. And so this particular person has been amazing. She has shifted exponentially. Her family's noticed. Her husband has seen a big change. He's now on board in changing. And this is the thing, is when you start to heal yourself, you're healing your relationships, you're healing your life, you're healing the generations, you're healing, and your business just starts to flourish and take off in so many ways, because now you're in alignment and you're in flow for your divine purpose.
Yeah. And I was sort of wondering about that as you're talking, because you were talking about, that it starts affecting everyone, because it's a family. It's you're not just alone floating in space, right? And if you're in pain, you're interacting with a whole pile of different people and you're affecting them. Do you sometimes bring in sort of, multiple people, or do group sessions and that sort of a thing?
I do. I run a workshop twice a year, and it's called basically tapping into your inner wisdom, because it's about, we all have the ability to self-heal,
Mm-hmm.
but we just don't understand that process just yet. But we need to clear it out. We need to work through levels of forgiveness, levels of acceptance, level of really looking at who we are and how we're showing up.
Yeah.
And so there's that process for sure, that opportunity.
Mm-hmm. Because I think, there's, especially, the older generation, probably including myself. I have enough, gray hairs to call myself an older generation. But we're, still not really convinced that, energy work is, work. And we're still sort of in that sense, well, no, I have to do physical change. I have to, if I'm in pain, that's a physical thing. And, how can you change that with energy? And, and my wife works a lot with, energy and changing things. And I've spent, years working also as a physical body worker, massage practitioner, and also doing things like, Qigong and that sort of aspect years ago. So I'm pretty aware that energy actually can make huge change. But how do you deal with, sort of introducing new people to the idea that energy, and your own energy specifically, has power to actually heal themselves?
How I look at Reiki, for example, because I teach Reiki very actively. I have quite a large student base here in Calgary, and I hold classes almost monthly. But I teach Reiki from the perspective of, it's about healing from the outside in, right? We're working with the different etheric energy fields. We have the emotional field, we have a spiritual field, and mind, body, spirit, essentially. And if they're out of alignment, and our chakra systems, which are also another part of energy, which also lead into the physical side. So I really work at communicating that to my clients. So it's about healing from the outside in, it's about healing from the inside out. And that's the different therapies that I offer, and I tell them why and when we need to use them. So when they're working with me, they're on a plan that I'm focusing towards their healing.
Right.
Sometimes it might be some cranial, sometimes it might be some bowen, sometimes it might be some Reiki. And what's really cool is, for example, I have a story of a particular gentleman who had a concussion into balance. And it was quite a severe concussion from snowboarding. And, just at the end of the session, well, it was kind of in the middle, and he was experiencing a lot of head pain. And as I was doing the cranial release, intuitively, I just got a message saying that I needed to align his energy bodies. And I just released his head, aligned the energy bodies, and boom, his head pain was gone, and it's never come back. And so when we look at trauma and how trauma can actually affect the body, right, it's like that bullet that rips through the energy to get to the physical. Mm-hmm. And all of that energy transference, actually, it gets absorbed into the etheric energy fields, and that needs to be healed as well as the physical body. So when you think of the law of physics, the energy of impact, right? We are water, and so we can absorb all of that impact. And when that impact gets absorbed into the tissue, it causes blockages and all kinds of havoc and issues. Mm-hmm. So we not only have to address the physical body, but we also have to address the energetics of what's going on. And when you can marry the two, then everything comes into perfect alignment. It's really quite powerful.
Right. And so that's kind of like, like a grenade, or like you said, there's the actual physical explosion of the impact, but there's also that shock wave that you can't see, that is just that force being pushed out, kind of thing. So yeah, thinking of it actually happening in your body, and that force being affecting your energy field, then that's a good way of thinking of it. I like that.
Yeah, thank you.
So you also do a lot of other things. You're out there on stage doing public speaking and that sort of aspect. And So what is that aspect? Is that a education piece? Why do you have a desire to sort of be out there and, in the public face like that?
I don't know. It just sort of evolved. I actually never really loved public speaking. I used to shy away from it any chance I had when I was many years ago, and then I just kind of started liking it. So I liked challenging myself and putting myself out there. And then all of a sudden, as I've been going through my own practice, even just a few years back, I would have said I was going to be a public speaker. And that sort of started evolving, and I've had lots of great experiences in networking and doing different groups like that. So you get comfortable being on stage, you get comfortable standing up in front of groups, starting out with like a 5-minute presentation, a 10-minute presentation, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, running workshops and seminars, and all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, I can do public speaking. It's easy. But it's getting my message out there more. And, I'm so passionate and I love what I do. And I see so many amazing transformations that, it is about education. It's about letting people know that there is another opportunity. There's so much available to us out there, and people have no idea, and they don't even know how to search for it. They don't know how to look for it. Even with Reiki, I still get a lot of people who've never even heard of Reiki.
Yeah.
The other two specific bodywork therapies, Bowen therapy and cranial, people have hardly ever heard of Bowen therapy, but more people are starting to recognize or hear about cranial sacral therapy and the impact that it has. But I like gentle. Like everything I do is more gentle. Gentle is more. And again, it's just about, it's educating and letting people know that there are other options out there. And the medical clinic, the medical approach isn't always the only answer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of funny. Like you mentioned, cranial sacral, we just recently had a child. He's just over 2 months old now.
Wow.
And I remember specifically because we have a friend actually that does cranial sacral work, and I've been doing it for ever, 20 some years. And but I remember, her sort of talking about it and saying, "Oh, this is really great. If you're planning on having a baby, you got to get your body and not my body, but my wife's body in alignment, right?
Yeah.
So things work out." And I remember, her talking about that, and we talked to the midwives and stuff, and they're like, "Oh yeah, this is great. You should definitely do that." And we brought it up to the doctor, and he's like, "Yeah, some people like to do that sort of thing. It makes them feel better."
Yeah.
Sort of like, what? But yeah, there's actually like documented proof that this actually helps. But it was like, yeah, the doctor opinion is sort of like, yeah.
Yeah, and I hear that a lot. I see that a lot in my clients. They go for different tests, and they bring their information to the doctor, and through the naturopath, or they've done tests in other avenues, but then they go back to the medical doctor, and it's like, oh, that's nice. Well, isn't this information important to you? They don't want it. They don't want a copy of it, but they don't understand it either, right? Because it's outside of their expertise. So we can't expect them to understand when it's that they don't understand themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But there is more. There's opportunities, and this is the thing: is I was stuck in the medical side of things, and it was not working for me, and I had to relearn. Even when I had the blood clots, I had to relearn how to walk because I had no air capacity. It took me months to actually do a good walk, right? Because it was self-conditioning and retraining my body of what it's like to actually breathe properly. And through the gentle releases of cranial sacral, like that was powerful because it was releasing the fascia and releasing the tissue. So we don't always have to add more pain to release pain, right? It's about a gentle, nurturing approach in all ways.
Yeah. I think in a lot of ways that whole, no pain, no gain thing is sort of losing a lot of traction. People are realizing, really, I don't need to be tortured more to overcome my pain.
Yeah. Well, and sometimes it does hurt a little bit, but we need to learn to lean into the pain and love it, and it will actually release its hold. It's really quite powerful.
Yeah. So I always like to ask, what's been sort of the most influential or idea-opening book or movie or thing that you've read in the last while, or website, or
That's a good question.
that's why I like to ask it.
What have I seen or read? I would have to say, I don't know. I just came to a big blank. I think I'm always reading something. I have to say.
That's what I think. Most people that pretty much everyone that I have on the show is always reading like 3-4 books at the same time, kind of thing. It's very interviewing someone and they're like digging through their pile of like books. Oh, what was I reading?
Well, I'm looking at my pile. You wouldn't believe it. I actually have 2 stacks of books over here, and I'm just like, what did I just read recently? Well, I think I don't know. I'm just grabbing. I love. This one is always powerful. It's one of my reference books, so I'm always in it, which is great and small, because I always love looking at messages that are around us all the time, whether it's messages in nature. Animals come to us all the time. It's funny. People are like, I don't know why, I've never seen this bird before, but it came and landed on my car. I'm like, oh, interesting. Right? Let's explore that a little bit. Yeah. And so I would probably have to say Animal Speak. It just happens to be right here. One of my quick references.
Not just dodging a question or anything. What do you really read?
I read a lot of stuff. I don't know. I'm usually into more technical type books, understanding.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's good too, right? It's, I know myself. I'm always reading sort of the technical, more so that a lot of the self-help kind of bits. But I'm really into the let's analyze how the sociology of that actually functions, kind of thing, and really delve into sort of the details. That's perhaps not the most common book to read.
Yeah. I'm surrounded by books, to be honest. They're everywhere. I've got about probably 10 on the go.
Yeah, and I also tend to do a lot of audiobooks. So and it's quite funny because they're audiobooks. I never remember what the title is or anything because I'm not holding the physical book in my hand. It's just I'm listening to it. So it's like, I listened to something. It was really good, and I got all these great ideas from it, but I can't tell you the name of it or who did it, even though I just listened to the voice for 15 hours.
Well, Psycho-Cybernetics is actually what I'm listening to on audiobook now that you know. Yeah. No, I do a lot of audiobooks too.
Yeah. So when you look at your practice and what you're doing, or not even looking at your practice, you're looking at your life, and you look a few years out, what do you see there as your big goals? What's your sort of big dream out there? What do you want to do?
My big dream? My big dream is to go more global, to be more international. I've been kind of working on California as of right now, so I've been building connections down there, and I'm looking forward to, I've got 2 more opportunities to go down coming up in the new year. Just see more of a global presence, just being able to reach out to anyone, anywhere, and it doesn't always have to be just, when we think of body work, it doesn't have to be physical. We can shift so much energetic, and that's helping people to realize that we don't always have to be in person. To do even just healing. I mean, we're doing Skype right now, or Google Hangout. There's so many options to connect, and there's many ways to connect both. It doesn't have to be always physical presence. Right? But it's just shifting people's mindset that we can do so much on such deeper levels virtually. It's the new.
Well, and I guess that's part of the whole thing about getting on stage, right? You're seeing a larger audience, you're traveling around, kind of thing, and really, starting to connect out there. And taking a look at your website, there's a lot of information there, and of course, it's a website, so it's a global thing. Now, you're saying we have some special things for our lovely listeners that will be available on your site. We'll actually be posting that on our website. So when you're there listening to this podcast, you'll be able to see Dixie's website, and you can go there. It's if you have a pen handy, you can write it down. It's www.stillpointbodyworks.ca. Yeah, we'll put up a link directly there, and you can go and you can click, or if you want to connect to her on her Twitter feed, you can connect there. What else you got? You got Facebook. We'll put that up there. Twitter, website, and so yeah, and we'll have a little complimentary download for you there on your website, not on our website, but when you click, and you'll be able to download the 5 simple steps to activate more abundance in your office. What's that about? Give me a brief sort of summary.
Well, it's just about 5 simple steps that you can implement, and just, I mean, abundance is about vibration. So the more you can surround yourself with positivity. So there's just some simple tips in there that you can start bringing into your office and start surrounding yourself with more ideas of abundance, and just being in a happier state of mind. So you can be an attraction magnet for what it is that you want to bring more into your life. So
cool. Very cool. So if you had one sort of last thing, well, since this is the last couple of minutes of the show, sort of a last piece of advice or a tip that you could give someone that's, in a circumstance where they have a chronic pain issue or some other kind of thing that you could help them with, what would you give them as a piece of advice that would really help them overcome that hurdle?
Well, the biggest piece of advice would be to acknowledge it. See it, acknowledge it, love it, and thank it, because it's actually trying to show you something about yourself that you're just completely ignoring. But if you're also looking for some external assistance, it might be a good opportunity to, you can reach out and connect with me. I'm offering a 30-minute laser coaching piece as well, just to kind of gain some clarity around it. And it's amazing. The process that I can take you through in connecting to it, it will actually dissolve out in seconds. It can be quite powerful.
Cool. So, so yes, so they can contact you directly on your website for that 30-minute complimentary laser. Now, and I was a little confused when I read that first. I was like, laser coaching session. So you're not shooting lasers at people or anything like that. You're just being laser focused.
Really
laser focused coaching. We have a lot of people around here doing laser therapy things. So I was
no, well, it's laser, getting to the core, right in.
Getting right in there. Excellent. Right. And so you'll have your phone number and stuff there too, so you can contact you that way as well. Right. Perfect. I'll flip back to my head. There we go. So yeah, so that actually pretty much wraps up our show for today. It's a little shorter show today due to technical difficulties. And but I'd like to thank Dixie for being on the show. It's been really great, and I really appreciate you sticking with us through some of the startup difficulties in the show. And but yeah, and I think it's such an important piece, really, that often gets overlooked, is that suffering. People just quietly suffer and sort of have their pain stashed away. And I think what you said too is really the core of it is actually just accepting that it's there, and choose to actually do something about it and make that difference. So yeah, so thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah,
it's a pleasure.
Yeah. So on that note, we're gonna head off. And so if you'd like to, again, share the show with anyone, or listen to it again and again and again because you loved it so much, you can go back to our website. So it's www.dreambigsolutions.com. And there's the podcast tab there. You can click on that, and you'll be able to see both this show and all of our previous shows and all of our older radio shows all tucked away in the archive there. And so, yeah, so you can see the whole thing there again. Again, we'll also have links back to Dixie's website. And so you can click on the link there. You can go and chat to her about getting a 30-minute complimentary session, which I'm going to definitely avail myself to. Because yes, even if you're, a coach, and especially if you're a coach, often, the coach is the one that doesn't actually get the coaching. So you need to really connect and, remind yourself that, hey, it's good to be coached. And that's something I know a lot of us, and I talk to a lot of other coaches and healers in that, realm. And we're often the ones that go, oh, my back, oh, my neck. But we just don't have the, Oh yeah, geez, yeah, I should get that fixed, I guess, because I can't do it myself. All right, before I get too weird, I'm gonna go, and go to check out the website, have a look at what else we have going on there, and of course have a look and see how else Dream Big Solutions and myself can help you achieve your big dreams, because that's really what it's all about, right? We're here to really live large and not just crawl along at ant level. Otherwise we would have come back as an ant. You can catch our show every second and fourth Thursday of the month, and we'll of course have guests from all over the world, and in this case Calgary, and that's about it. So I'm Richard Hole, and this has been Dream Big Solutions podcast, and thank you for being here. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Adios.